Vintage for me is probably when something is getting, just like a wine, that it improves with age and it sort of remains, like it keeps sort of an integral part of its time and era, but also it's such a good quality piece that it will, you know, transcend any decade and it will still remain relevant. I'm not particularly nostalgic about vintage. I like the cuts and I like the fabrics, and I like the fact that a lot of dresses now, they're built to a modern block of what a figure's meant to be nowadays, but there's very few women who prescribe to that shape of figure. Usually there's lots of things I've loved on the hangers and I've gone to try them on myself and they haven't fit properly, and that's probably how I got into vintage in the first place, because I found certain dresses from the 40s and the 50s fitted my figure much better. I always get things immaculate. I do restore them. Sometimes you get something so beautiful you're scared of wearing it. Other times it can be quite nice to get something with almost, as long as it's just a reasonable amount of damage, it makes you feel less precious about it, that you can enjoy wearing it in the daytime without the guilt. I try to be good, and I try not to wear a piece for too many times in a row and then I'll put it away for a few more years again and really look after it. I mean, essentially it is, and that's why vintage is going up in value so much in the past few years, because the demand is growing. People are starting to rediscover the quality that they're missing on the high street, where it's consumed so fast that the quality has plummeted, I think, in the last 20 years.
The idea that each piece has already got a story behind it, it's already been somewhere, it's already got a life, a character of its own. And I think it's nice to feel like you're just adding to that and bringing it on a little bit further. Finding old pieces that are slightly worn down, a little bit broken, a little bit unloved, and restoring them. I'd like to bring them up to date as well, sometimes add a splash of brighter colour here and there, although keeping in the contents of their original form. I attended beginners lessons about 3 years ago now. I remember sitting at home, I was really fed up, I had a glass of wine at the time, and the advert popped up on my laptop, and I thought, you know what, I'm not going to tell anyone about it, I'm just going to go for it, just for me, for my own satisfaction, just to give it a go. It's something I've always been intrigued by. Went along, completed the course, fell in love with it, found that I was actually quite good at it, I could get away with it, which really surprised me at first, and it's been in my life ever since. It is my life now. It's empowering, it's the dramatic side of it, the creative side of it, the inspirational side of it. It brings joy to the audience and to the performers themselves. It's a little bit of showbiz without being over the top or all out there, and it encompasses so much about history, the female form, dance, drama. It's just great, you love it. It's where people will go all out and really dress up in the theme of the evening and make their own burlesque characters up, which is great fun. It really adds to the atmosphere. There's other times when you might be in a venue and people are just wandering past, wandering in off the street, which is a little bit more laid back and a little bit, you have the atmosphere of the evening relies on you more, the performer, to create then. I think the interesting thing is that I've noticed is the majority of the crowds are female. I think it attracts a female audience. I think they feel safe in that environment, as well as feeling empowered. Vintage and retro clothing and furniture, I think, are so popular now because people are looking for something a little bit different. They're trying to create their own styles. They're trying to break away from the mass manufactured looks and images that are so easy to come by. It allows you to explore your own character a little bit more. I think there's a story behind each piece, that it's had a life before it's reached you, and hopefully then you're carrying on that story and adding to it. I find that the older pieces of clothing and furniture have just more character about them. Nowadays I think things are so mass produced that it takes that away. Nothing feels unique or special anymore. Whereas if you can have a rummage in a charity shop and find a really cute jumper or a little cardigan or a scarf or a necklace, no one else is going to have that piece. No one else has seen that piece before, and it's something special.
I've always been reasonably creative in my past profession, and I thought I'd kind of adapt it with furniture. All the furniture I buy, not all of it needs reworking or restyling, restoring. Sometimes it's nice to just get an original piece of furniture and keep it original. You might just need some polish or something. But also at the same time, it's nice to find a piece of furniture that is destined for landfill and to give it a new lease of life. Last week I was driving on a road and there's a house that was being renovated with a builder skip outside, and on the top of it there's this beautiful blonde Urkel chair, 1960s stick back. What I'm doing to it, I'm spraying it. The thing is, the chair was full of woodworm and it was destined for the skip. So what I did was pulled my van over, got the chair out, treated it with woodworm killer, filled all the holes, and here we are, just in the process of giving it a new lease of life with a coat of red gloss paint, and hopefully I'll find someone that'd be interested in buying it, and at the same time saved it from the furniture grave. There's pieces of furniture that I work on and I love them, and the wife comes in and the kids come in and they love it, and they do tend to stay in the house for a few weeks, but more often than not they do tend to be sold, unfortunately. I do have the odd piece of furniture that I've kept, which I just know I'll never find again. I also sell vintage, retro, smalls, collectibles, bric-a-brac, anything that I think that people would like to have in their homes. Enjoy the creative side. It can take two or 3 days for me to decide exactly what course of action to take with a piece of furniture. And once I do, I get stuck in. I've got a selection of paints and materials and various products. I've got a drawer full of old handles. I enjoy that aspect of working with furniture. People tend to look back at an era where they perhaps had money or where they enjoyed, and so they're kind of, with their tastes, furniture tastes, they look back to that period, whether it's the 70s, 80s, and they're buying furniture to remind them of those good times. My best finds are, I guess, from the local tips, the local dumps, where you pick something up for free. I bring it back, spend a few hours working on it, and the next thing it's either on my website or it's in a shop, and someone falls in love with it and takes it home with them, and it's going to have another 50 years of life perhaps. A lot of the furniture that I buy has been around for 50, 60 years, and it will be around for another 50 or 60 years.
appreciate old cars. I've had my first car was a 1963 Mini. Graduated to 1960 sports cars. I had a Fiat Sports. I had a Triumph Vitesse convertible. I've got a VW Camper, 1971. Yeah, old cars, no computers, lovely. Prevalent for me because I was born in the late 50s. So, 50s and 60s is just relevant for my childhood. And to have these things brings back memories. Appreciate design, the way things feel. Rock and roll, jazz, black and white films, French cinema. It all goes hand in hand, really. Just a general appreciation. I've always gone to car boot sales and jumble sales. I just enjoy the thrill of a find when you sift through a pile of rubbish and then find a gem. It's magical. You can't beat that feeling. I don't think I specifically go for any one period, but I think I just appreciate good design from any period, really. Apart from which I don't particularly like Victorian stuff. I suppose anything from the 1920s onwards I would appreciate. I have an interest in amateur films, amateur filmmaking, old Super 8. I love the cameras and the way they feel and work, the way the films look on the screen, projected on the screen. That's just something that you can't get with video or DVD. It's nice, the soft look and just the feel of it, really. A collection of vintage guitars going back to mostly the early 60s. Again, I love to play them, but they're also just beautiful to look at and to hold. Not old, it's a vintage style guitar. It's a Gretsch Electromatic, and it's basically the same shape as they were in the 1950s. Eddie Cochran played a Gretsch famously, and it just looks like a rock and roll machine. Glittery, beautiful, and it sounds great. Such a throwaway culture these days, and yeah, it's not good. I just love the way that things had that kind of permanence in the 50s and 60s. Things were built to last. And all of these things just feed into the notion that the yearning for a time when things were less complicated. You can spend an awful lot of time and energy perusing internet and computers generally, and ending up with very little end result.
What if the sun don't rise when it's supposed to? What if the birds stop flying? When will the air turn thicker than water? If you love me, why am I dying? What if the sun don't rise when it's supposed to? What if the birds stop flying? When will the air turn thicker than water? Thicker than water. If you love me, why am I dying? Drilling all my oil, forgot to get your car to speed. Killing all God's creatures for a jacket you don't need. Making up new poisons just to throw 'em in the sea. Burning down the jungle so you get your burgers cheap. With the rain